The past few patches have been extremely hectic, and the meta is constantly evolving, which can be overwhelming. Don't worry though, because we got you guys covered with the inside scoop on the best champions for 12.23b. 3 champs for every single role that possess the best solo carry power on the patch. And if you didn't know, the preseason is arguably the best time to get way better at League of Legends. The reason is because when you focus on improving your own skills instead of just doing whatever it takes to scrape a win, you do tend to lose a little more in the short term in exchange for huge gains in the long term. So if you're thinking of mastering your macro skills and not joining every team fight, but instead trying to learn how to become a split-pushing god, or if you're looking to learn a new role or bootcamp your mechanics, then enroll to our world-class courses as we teach every fundamental you could ever need with the world's largest premium library for League of Legends. And better yet, if you join SkillCapped for the long haul, then for just $6.99 a month, you can get a 1-year membership to SkillCapped. And if you don't climb at least 5 divisions while actively using SkillCapped, you can claim a full refund, so there's no risk. This subscription also grants you access to WoW Dragonflight, Valorant, and Wrath of the Lich King. So check us out right after this, link in the description below. And with that said, let's move on to today's guide. Ravenous Hydra has been nerfed for the 3rd time now, but Fiora remains a top tier pick regardless. You now lose 10% more carnivorous stacks on death, which doesn't do a ton in the grand scheme of things. As a champion who lives in the side lane, Fiora has a really easy time catching a couple waves and stacking the Ravenous passive, so losing a few more stacks on death is not a huge deal. With someone like Mundo gaining a ton of strength and popularity, the priority on Fiora will remain high. Not only does Fiora play well into Mundo, but she wins a ton against Aatrox and K'Sante as well, who are played a ton in 12.23. There's really no meta top laner that is a must ban for Fiora, but Darius is one of the better options. Core build is a Ravenous Rush into Divine Sunderer 2nd and Spear of Shojin 3rd. In fact, last week our challenger expert Strompist recorded a live commentary on our website for this exact build, highlighting just how strong it is. Grasp and Conqueror are viable keystone runes for Fiora. It really depends on the matchup as to what is best. Grasp is best in melee matchups where you'll be trading a lot, whereas Conqueror is best in ranged matchups or easier melee lanes. The biggest riser in the entire game over the past few patches has been Dr. Mundo. Hit with a few small nerfs in 12.23b, Mundo continues to demolish the competition. Who would have thought that giving a champion who loves stacking health even more percent health scaling on their abilities? That's exactly what Riot did in 12.23 as they slapped on percent health scaling to Mundo's E damage. This means that you can build Mundo full tank, not a single damage item at all, and end up dealing more damage than most bruisers. The only matchup giving most Mundo players issues right now is Fiora, as her true damage and consistent DPS counters Mundo quite well. Fiora is one of the best bans for Mundo as a result. Heartsteel synergy is absolutely nuts right now, as you'll always be rushing the item, followed by Sunfire 2nd and Thornmail or Spirit Visage 3rd. The rune page is Grasp with Demolish, Second Wind, and Overgrowth. Optimal secondaries are Free Boots and Approach Velocity. The 3rd solo carry top of the patch is going to be Darius. Lots of indirect nerfs to top lane in 12.23b affecting tanks and fighters, but Darius walks away unscathed. For a top laner like Darius who wants to be looking for kill windows early in lane, the preseason jungle changes have been really nice. We're seeing very few level 2 gank junglers anymore, and most junglers are playing to full clear. As long as you can track where the enemy jungler starts, it's way less likely your early game plans are spoiled by an unexpected gank. The only matchup you need to ban right now is Dr. Mundo. It's actually kind of hilarious. Darius does well into most meta top laners, then you look at Mundo and Darius is only winning 42% of the time against him. The core build for Darius is a Trinity Force Rush into Death Stance 2nd and Deadman's or Force of Nature 3rd. Optimal rune page is Conqueror with Triumph, Alacrity, and Last Stand. Grab Bone Plating and Unflinching for secondaries. With a ton of direct nerfs to junglers in 12.23b, along with further nerfs to the Moss Stomper jungle item, it's given Elise room to move into the top 3. We actually created an entire guide on our website going over how a challenger Elise player is stomping the preseason. Majority of Elise players are running Scorch Claw, so the Moss Stomper nerfs do not affect her. The percent health damage coming out of Elise Q has allowed her to find great success in preseason. Jungle camps have had their health increased, so these junglers who have percent health damage can speed through their clear faster. Being able to full clear and be level 4 sitting in the fog of war to contest Scuttle before the enemy arrives gives you such an edge up. Elise does not lose 1v1s if she can get the jump and land her E, so positioning in brush and waiting for enemies to walk into you is very powerful. Elise also does very well into the most played jungler, being Sylas at the moment, winning over 55% of the time in the matchup. Lilia or Warwick are 2 of the better ban options for Elise. For the build, it's a Night Harvester Rush into Shadowflame 2nd and Zanya's 3rd. For runes, run Dark Harvest with Cheap Shot, Eyeball Collection, and Treasure Hunter. Best secondaries are Triumph and Coup de Grace. One of the best tank junglers for 12.23 who has a very underrated build going around is Zac. Even though Jock Show has been nerfed, it actually doesn't mean a whole lot for Zac. Why is this, you may ask? Well, Zac has the ability to abuse Radiant Virtue better than most champions. Even before the Jock Show nerfs, Radiant Virtue is outperforming as Zac's rush item. Couple this with the fact Zac was just directly buffed, Sunfire was buffed, and we are seeing Treat Gold reduced again in 12.23b, everything is trending in Zac's favor. Lesser gold income hurts champions that have strong engage or great crowd control, much less than pure damage-oriented champs. Good ban to consider when playing Zac is Master Yi, as his consistent DPS and true damage are difficult to deal with as a tank. Build for Zac is a Radiant Virtue Rush into Sunfire 2nd and Demonic Embrace 3rd. For the rune page, run Aftershock with Font of Life, Conditioning, and Revitalize. Best secondaries are Triumph and Tenacity. One of the stronger solo queue junglers who avoids the nerf bat in 12.23b is Evelynn, and she rounds out the top 3 for jungle. Evelynn has been thriving in preseason with the full clear jungle meta. Hitting level 6 without running into any issues is key to Evelynn's success, and the jungle changes have enabled this. To ensure you hit that level 6 smoothly, look to ban out a strong skirmishing jungler like Udyr or Elise. Once you acquire your stealth with Evelynn, the ability to gank from creative angles and catch the enemy off guard makes her so broken for solo queue. For the build, it's a Rocket Belt Rush into Rabadon 2nd and Void Staff or Lichbane 3rd. Roll with Electrocute as the keystone, followed by Sudden Impact, Eyeball Collection, and Relentless Hunter. Optimal secondaries are Absolute Focus and Gathering Storm. Now that Zed has been nerfed, dethroning him and becoming the #1 mid laner is Kassadin. Kassadin adjustments from 12.23 have turned out as massive buffs. Since Kassadin E now has a flat cooldown, you want to be maxing the spell out first. The fact that Q spell shield was increased at rank 1 makes it so that this E max first is even more optimal. What's even more interesting though is that W max second is winning way more than Q. Cast players who go E max first into W second are winning 55% of the time, as opposed to only 51% for players who max Q second. AD mids like Zed and Talon are two of the better ban options for cast. There is a really unique new build going around as well. Instead of Archangels, Manamune is gaining a lot of traction and seeing great results too. With all the health you get from Rod of Ages, you're able to stick in fights longer and get more autos off, which inherently has made Manamune a more viable option. Before, with Ludens, you were very squishy, so you had to get in and out quickly, limiting your ability to weave autos. The W max second is even more potent when building Manamune too. In games where your team is heavy AP, going for Manamune instead of Archangels is a really good idea. Archangels is still great for most games though, but Manamune is an amazing alternative in the correct spots. For runes on Kassadin, run Electrocute with Taste of Blood, Eyeball Collection, and Ultimate Hunter. Presence of Mind and Tenacity are the way to go for secondaries. Kassadin is completely busted right now and is super free LP, which is why we released a detailed Season 13 guide on Kassadin this week. One mid laner a lot of players have forgotten about who is in a super good spot for 12.23 is Uxin. Cass is being played at a very high rate now, and Uxin players are winning over 54% of the time in the matchup. Uxin also plays extremely well into highly picked melee mids like Akali, Katarina, Yone, and Sylas. The only champ you really got to worry about is Yasuo, so just use your ban on him and you're golden. Yasuo's Wind Wall makes it very difficult to get the most out of Uxin's kit. Matchups aside, the fact Uxin can abuse both Blade of the Rune King and Kraken Slayer gives him an incredible 2-item spike. The rune page really depends on the matchup, as Fleet and Press the Attack both have a place. Fleet works best into more difficult ranged matchups, while PTA is best in easier melee lanes. Vex has been in a phenomenal spot for a while now and rounds out the top 3 for mid. One thing in common with all 3 of our solo carry mids is that they have incredible catch power. Uxin and Vex both have resets, while Cass just has the low cooldown on his R, enabling them to clean up fights extremely well. Very few champions can match the snowball power of these 3 picks, which makes them very deadly for solo queue. Syndra and Zed, both nerfed in recent patches, is amazing for Vex, as those have been the 2 matchups she's been struggling against the most. With Cass on the rise and being a great answer to Vex, it's definitely her best value ban at the moment. Other than Cass though, matchups are amazing for Vex, especially into the highly picked mobile mids like Yasuo, Akali, Yone, and Sylas. For the build, rush Ludens into Shadow Flame 2nd and Zanya's or Rabadon's 3rd, Electrocute the Keystone with Taste of Blood, Eyeball Collection, and Ultimate Hunter. Grab Mana Flow and Transcendence for secondaries. There's really no ADC as versatile as Twitch for 12.23b. Not only can Twitch run a magic or physical damage build, but both setups are extremely strong. It can feel really bad for most ADCs when your team locks full AD and then you have to deal with a Rammus on the enemy team stacking armor. You never have to worry about this as Twitch, since you can just build AP and the true damage from his passive can help to take down beefier opponents. ADCs who can jump on you instantly do a good job at punishing Twitch in lane, so Tristana or Neela are good ban options. Whether it be Blade into Kraken or Nashers into Rabadons, Twitch has an amazing 2-item spike that you should be looking to play towards every game. When playing AD Twitch, you will want to run with Lethal Tempo as the keystone. However, if you're going the AP route, then look to grab Hail of Blades. Bot lane has been the role with the least amount of meta shifting changes as of recent, so there's no reason to stop spamming Kai'Sa. With each passing patch, the play rate of Quick Blades continues to rise on Kai'Sa and is looking like the more optimal third purchase now over Infinity Edge. Being able to significantly decrease the cooldown of Kai'Sa E and Q make her extremely shifty and an even better duelist on 3 items. Just like Twitch, Kai'Sa has the ability to adapt to each game really well and run an on-hit setup against tankier comps. With Mundo being spammed a ton in the top lane, running a Kraken into Blade core is going to be vital to take him down. Surviving early levels is very important for Kai'Sa, as that's where she can be exploited the most, so banning a strong laning support like Nami is a good idea. The rune page for Kai'Sa is Lethal Tempo with Presence of Mind, Bloodline, and Coup de Grace. Free Boots and Biscuits are the best secondaries. With all these ADCs who are more vulnerable in the early game being played a ton, it gives Tristana really good value. Kai'Sa, Ezreal, Jhin, and Zeri are the 4 most played ADCs, and they come nowhere close to matching Tristana's all-in power. Pair Trist up with a support who can play aggro off the level 2 spike, and you will be obtaining a crazy amount of early leads in 12.23. We actually have an entire course detailing a specific playstyle that's amazing for climbing on Tristana. You don't need to worry about banning out other ADCs as Trist. Instead, look to get rid of a support who can nullify your all-in power, like Lulu or Janna. Core build for Trist is Kraken Slayer Rush into Phantom Dancer 2nd and Infinity Edge 3rd. Run Hail of Blades as the keystone with Taste of Blood, Eyeball Collection, and Treasure Hunter. Triumph and Bloodline are the best secondaries. One of the easiest yet most powerful supports you can play for 12.23b is Heimerdinger. Setting down turrets to perma-shove waves and ensure perma-priority takes no skill at all, yet is so impactful for solo queue. While the enemy ADC is shoved under tower, you can continue to pressure with the poke threat from W and force the enemy to either take a ton of damage or lose lots of farm. Just by picking Heimer, you are pretty much guaranteeing that your ADC will come out of lane with a massive CS lead as long as they aren't a complete monkey. Heimer thrives against hook champs like Thresh, Blitzcrank, and Pyke, but struggles more against longer ranged poke. Xerath is one matchup giving most Heimer players issues, so he's a good ban option. You always want to be rushing Rylai's on Heimer, however, second item depends on preference. Liandry's is great if your team is lacking damage and you need to be the carry, whereas Imperial Mandate will work really well to buff up your already fed ADC. For the rune page, it's all early game focused with Comet, Mana Flow, Absolute Focus, and Scorch. Best secondaries are Free Boots and Biscuits. Fresh off his recent buffs, Amumu is back in a very strong spot and is our second solo carry support. Amumu is one of those supports who is sneaky good with Radiant Virtue. Since so much of Amumu's teamfight power comes off the back of his ultimate, you get great use out of the Radiant Virtue passive. If you can pair Amumu up with an ADC who can follow up on his engages, like Kai'Sa, Samira, Jhin, or Tristana, then the champ is even more insane. Kai'Sa being the most played ADC is perfect for Amumu, as he can look for crazy long-range catch plays, and Kai'Sa can just ult right in to clean up the kills. Morgana with her black shield can be really annoying to deal with, so look to ban her out when playing Amumu. Even Shroud is still a great rush item, but definitely look to try out Radiant Virtue if you haven't already. Zhonya's and Thornmail are really solid second and third options. Aftershock and Glacial are both viable keystones for Amumu. Against a burstier duo like Lucian Nami, the added resist from Aftershock can be really valuable, whereas if you're playing into a more passive duo, you can get away with Glacial. The best Enchanter support, and arguably the #1 support in general, is Janna. A few small nerfs in 12.23b are not going to remove Janna from a top tier standing. Janna is such a great Moonstone abuser, and coupled with all of her peel power, nobody can match Janna's ability to keep carries alive. With Janna's ultimate and Q, you give your ADC the luxury to play so much more aggressively, being able to push leads extremely well. Longer ranged poke mages are the only champs Janna tends to struggle against, but since they aren't played very much in meta, it's perfect for her. The Lucian Nami lane is one of the only duos seeing positive results into Janna, so banning out Nami is a good idea. Core build is a Moonstone Rush into Redemption 2nd and Ardent Censer 3rd. For the rune page, roll with Glacial, followed by Freeboots, Biscuits, and Cosmic Insight. Font of Life and Revitalize are the optimal secondaries. Alright guys, before we wrap this up, let's tell you a little more about SkillCapped. So, we offer a 5-division rank up guarantee, and think that's a pretty crazy thing to offer. It's like a gym membership guaranteeing you'll get ripped. Your local gym would go bust if they offered that, right? Not us. We've offered this for years because our service really does work. It works so well, in fact, that we're able to produce by far the largest catalog of premium league guides on the internet. We add over 20 videos a week, with over 1,600 guides curated into over 100 courses No one can compare. We've also sent Challenger players into ELO Hell 714 times and counting, where they commentate how to carry live. They also respond to all questions asked. Sign up today for as little as $6.99 a month if you are serious about improving. So that's going to wrap up everything for our latest update on the top 3 solo carries for every single role. Thank you guys so much for watching. Good luck in solo queue, and we'll see you in the next one.